Hey, what's up guys? Kellen here again with Droid Life, and this is the LG G7 ThinQ. The phone has officially been announced, and since we've had a short opportunity to play with it, wanted to share some thoughts with you here. The LG G7 ThinQ is the follow-up to last year's G6, but as you might expect, has been upgraded in almost all areas. You've now got a 6.1-inch Quad HD Plus super bright LCD display with a new 19.5:9 ratio, thanks to that notch up top. And yes, that's a notch just like the iPhone X has, but we'll come back to that in a minute. The rest of the specs include a Snapdragon 845 processor, 4GB RAM, 64GB storage with SD slot, new 32-bit quad DAC, boombox speaker that uses inner phone space as a resonance chamber for louder tunes, 3000 mAh battery, 8-megapixel camera up front, and a dual camera setup on the back that's made up of a 16-megapixel standard shooter at f1.6 along with a 16-megapixel wide-angle camera at f1.9. The camera has LG's AI Cam Smarts that you saw hit the V30 recently, so that means you'll get recommendations on ways to improve your pictures in the moment, a super bright camera in those dark situations, a portrait mode, and that flexibility to easily switch between standard and wide as you have been able to do with recent LG phones. The G7 ThinQ does indeed have a Google Assistant button as the rumors suggested, so you can instantly launch it without speaking a keyword. LG is not making the button programmable to anything else at this time though. If you want to speak to your phone, the G7 ThinQ also has far field mics like you see in Google Home units, so it can pick you up from across the room, which is kind of cool. For software, you've got LG's UX skin once again. It's on top of Android Oreo, but from what I could gather in the short time with the phone, it'll be familiar. LG hasn't done anything dramatic with this skin that's going to change the game. If you like LG's software, you'll feel right at home here. Now, as for that notch, yes, it's there. LG is officially calling this a new second screen, as if it relates to the V line's old secondary display. I know it's confusing, but this one can be turned off with a black software background, or you can tweak the colors of it some too to add some flavor. Outside of that, it doesn't really do anything special. It just meets the trend of the moment, which is a race to make the first full screen phone. In terms of in-hand feel, this phone feels really great. Even with that big size, it's basically a one-handed premium phone made of glass and metal. It reminds me more of the V30 than the G6 because the design is so polished, but that's really just LG showing how they're evolving from one phone to the next. You can't see this from the video, but that fingerprint button on the back is no longer a power button as it has been. Sorry, rear button fans, the power button has moved back to its traditional side spot. The LG G7 ThinQ will come in this sharp silver color as well as black, rose, and blue. LG didn't provide pricing at the time of this video, but told us to expect pricing near the G6. Be sure to check out Droid Life for the final details on price and availability, and go ahead and let us know in those comments what your impressions of the G7 ThinQ are so far.